Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts and sometimes other stuff they're involved in. My guest today is a 7th degree master in Tae Kwon Do, originally training under Grand Master Jhoon Rhee. In 1988, she founded Better Families Tae Kwon Do in Miami, Florida. 3 years later, she met and married Diego Perez, who's a 9th degree Grand Master. She's a recipient of 2 Mayor Proclamations and the prestigious Diamond Award. Better Families has proudly trained and developed over 1,600 students to black belt level, over 25 black belts to master level, including 11 world champions, countless national champions, and in 2010, they brought home 21 gold medals and 17 silvers for the U.S. at the World Games. Their black belts have been featured as actors and stunt performers in films like Only the Strong, one of my all-time favorites, Mortal Kombat, Cobra Kai, Beetlejuice, the new Superman movie, and more. She's a proud mother of 3 amazing children and grandchildren that grew up in the school. I could go on, but let's hear from her. Please welcome my guest today, Mary Beth Klock Perez. How you doing today, Mary Beth?
I am doing great, Brian, but you're good. Yeah.
I get a lot of compliments on my intros. So I've actually had a handful of guests have me send that to them so they can use them on their voicemail.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay.
I truly appreciate this. Another guest sent to me from Mr. Pineda. I love Mr. Pineda so much.
He's the greatest.
Yes, such an amazing person, such an amazing guest. I was lucky enough to meet him in person 2 years ago. Such a cool guy, and he keeps, whenever I'm like, I need to find more guests, and he's like, oh, I got a list.
And his martial arts skills and
yes.
his students, I think really a mark of a great instructor is when you look at a student and you can say, oh, that's a Francis Pineda student. Oh, that's a John Chung student.
Yep.
You can really tell when, I think that's a mark of a great instructor. Anyone can teach people that are in the top 10%.
Yeah.
But it takes a great instructor to teach the other 90%.
Exactly. No, and when I used to go to a lot more tournaments when I was younger and had a lot more free time, I'd always have people come up, they'd notice students from our school. Like, oh, that's one of Master Jim's students. That's one of Master. It's like, yeah, same type thing. It's that instructor has that specific style, and you can just tell by the way their students act, by the way they compete. And
yeah, they all look like kind of cookie cutter and the basics. Like Mike Chat used to stand next to the ring when our students entered the ring. And I'm like, are you scoping for your team, sir? And he said, absolutely.
Nice. I love
yeah,
that.
because they were sponsored and they kick them all over the country. So it was,
we
had a few students in my chat.
Yeah, I remember watching Mike compete at the Diamond Nationals, and he was a teenager. So back in the day.
Yeah, he's another great human being.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with just martial arts skills, but the character of the person behind it is more impressive.
I'm hoping to have him on the show soon. We talked about it probably almost a year ago, but I also know how busy he is.
Super cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Fingers crossed he'll get a slight opening in his schedule and reach out to me, but I'm hoping soon. Well, what we do with all my guests, I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to many of the episodes. I know you said you listened to some of Mr. Pineda's interview, but what I want to do is I want to go back to the beginning. I mentioned, you've been doing this for a long time. You opened your school back in the 80s, but I want to know how your martial arts journey began, where that first interest came from, that first spark that kicked off that journey.
Well, mine is a very different than you probably hear most martial artists. My father was going through an airport and he heard someone listening to a Zig Ziglar motivational tape. Nice. And he stops and he says he listened to Zig, and it was Grand Master Jhoon Rhee.
Really?
And he said, how do you know? Yeah. And my father was a motivational speaker. He said, yeah, Zig's a friend of mine. So Grand Master Jhoon Rhee stands up. He's excited. They, switch cards. And he actually gave my mom and dad a tour of the Washington schools. And when they came back, my dad said, I got these tickets for you to go to Jacksonville. There's a seminar. There's like a guru kind of guy that goes and teaches attorneys and insurance brokers, every quarter, a new guru. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's about what? And he said, Tae Kwon Do. And I said, oh, no, Dad. I'm not going to put on a pair of pajamas, jump around and scream. And that's exactly what I said. And my mom said, Mary Beth, I know there's something there for you. So when my mom says it, don't waste time, do it. So I thought, well, it's a free 3-day trip. I'm going. And the first day was all about philosophy. And there was probably 1,000 people there.
Wow.
And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Because I was always, I had my real estate license, I had my haircutting license. But my big thing since I was a teenager was impacting people in a powerful way. And I was always looking for a vehicle. And I said, this is it. You know, I go to church on Sunday, but on the way out, people were like cutting each other off in the parking lot. And I'm like, Dad, weren't they just in mass? You know, and so I'm thinking once a week's not enough, but like if you can impact people in character education and inspire them to be great and to believe in themselves 3 times a week, wow. So I thought this is incredible. And then the second day was the martial arts part. I was a horseback riding kid. I was a tomboy, a tree climber, but coordination was not my forte. But I had to be in the front row because he did it by height and I'm 5'2". So I was up in the front, and it's horrible, right? I was up in the front. And then it was things that I was actually good at, like bring your knee up and hold your balance. So I was strong. I was strong, so I could do that, and went through everything super simplistic. Because in the Jhoon Rhee system, as in a lot of the Taekwondo martial arts, it starts off very systematic, and each belt builds upon the last. So it's not like you're in an aerobics class and you're looking like an idiot the whole time. So I did everything, and on the break, I was in this breakout room. It was at a hotel, and I was stretching, and I was focusing and thinking about what he was teaching. And he stops at the doorway, and he looks at me, and he says, "You are going to be one of my most powerful black belts." And when he said that to me, I'm very visual. I saw this white circular room, and I was standing in the middle of it, and each door, pop, 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 all opened. And that's exactly what I saw in my head. And it just really made me change my level. You know, we always put some kind of ceiling point on what we can accomplish. You know, like when I was in elementary, they said, okay, we're going to run around this track 8 times. And I'd say to myself, well, I know I can do 5. I'm not sure about the 8. I just immediately had a cap on it, right?
Yep.
And when he said that, I was like, who would have ever dreamed of being a black belt? Like, that's such a big thing. And it really just changed my life. And I followed him around about 6 months around the country. He was doing seminars. It was open to all styles. And Dave Kovar actually was one of the people that was there.
Nice.
And we would go from 6 in the morning. He's Kempo, by the way. 6 in the morning to midnight. Then we would literally sleep on the floor of the martial arts school. And only wash yourself up in the sink or something. And then 6 o'clock in the morning, we'd start. So it would be 3 days in a row. 6 in the morning, 12 at night. Everybody in there was like a master or a black belt. And there was me, who was a white belt.
Wow.
I know. And I'm not smart enough to be intimidated. So I was in there and I'm doing my thing. And he was doing, he does musical forms.
Yep.
And when we were doing God Bless America Chosang, he stopped the whole class and walks up to me and he said, she's the easiest one for me to teach. And they're all looking at me. They're like 3rd degree, 4th degree masters. And he said, because her glass is empty. And all I need to do is fill it. But everyone else, you come here with a full glass and there's no room for me to give you new knowledge. So I need you to empty your glass and don't think about what guarding stance you did, because our stance is against our chest. It's a Bruce Lee thing. Very different. The Jhoon Rhee system brings his feet together between each left-right movement.
Yep.
So that really impacted me a lot. So I learned all the way white to, I believe, red belt with him traveling. I'm not well, but enough. And then I actually got trained with him to black belt by videotape. So yeah, and I'm dyslexic, and you can imagine he'd send a video. I'd look at the TV in a daze. So then I'd have to turn my back backwards to the TV so it would make sense to my brain. And I would learn it that way. Then I would record myself. These are VCRs, right? And I would send him the videotape, and then he would receive it, and he would get on the phone with me, and then he would give me all my corrections, which, were a lot.
Yeah.
And that is actually how I trained all the way up to black until I tested with him. And at that point, I had just met my now husband. And he's this big champion, undefeated from Puerto Rico, 3 years undefeated, full contact Caribbean, and also great in forms, like a machine and perfection. He's like a Francis Pineda. So I thought I was super fast until I met him. And then I felt like I was going backwards. So I went right before the test. I said, Diego, we need to stay together in this test. So I need you to slow down a little bit so we can stay together. And he looked at me as he's walking away and said, well, then you better speed up. And I was like, oh, that's not how I planned this. And there was like 20 something masters there because there had been a seminar that Grand Master Jhoon Rhee did.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was, I don't know if you know Master Chris Yu.
I know the name, yeah.
Okay, well, he's like a walking muscle. And he was getting ready to leave to the airport, so he's wearing shorts and ready to leave. And Grandmaster says, no, I need you to stay, Master Yu, and I need you to run the test. Yes, sir. So we do Chudio, and we have combinations from white to black.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's like guarding Sanshin B, 1, 2, and you count off the turns and the moves. This is what he does. Okay, combinations, yeah! And that is the last thing he said. And I have Speedy Gonzalez next to me going 100 miles an hour. There's no time between. There's 4 combinations in each belt, and there's 9 belts. And like, oh, yeah. Talk about drama and trauma.
Wow.
So that was my black belt. And Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee was really tough. He had no problem failing. He'd fail you for if your guard was not on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my black belt test and my journey with Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee. And he always said, I'm responsible for Diego's birth because my husband was a junior system in Puerto Rico and I was here in Miami. So that is exactly how we met because he was coming for an international Tae Kwon Do tournament here in Miami and his team, there was 20 of them, said, can we come and practice at your school a few days before the tournament? And I'm like, sure. And I was in this little moment in my life where I was really a bit angry with people of the opposite sex. There had been some bad things that had happened in my life. So I was in there like I was wearing baggy clothes, the hair not done, makeup. If you don't like it, don't look at me. And he walks in and that was my fashion mode at the time. And I said, there's something about that guy super intense. He's either really good or really bad. He's actually both. So, no, he's awesome. He's awesome. But before he left in Bayamon, Puerto Rico to come to Miami, he said to his friend, not knowing the owner of the school was a woman, I'm going to Miami to meet the mother of my child.
Wow. Yeah,
he's like a warlock. He walked in the school. He saw me walking across in my little funky look. He pointed to me and he said, that's her.
Jeez.
Is that crazy? And then 3 months later, he moved from Puerto Rico. And 3 months later, we were married. And the other day was our 35th wedding anniversary. So
that's cool.
So that's why my story is different, right?
Yeah. So I'm curious, the video training, now back in the 80s, that wasn't really a thing. So was that Grandmaster Rhee's idea? Was that your idea?
That was the only idea because Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee was in Washington and there was nobody here that does that system to really test me or teach me.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
I don't remember. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who do the video training, but I can't think of anyone who was doing it way back then. I mean,
well, it was, I knew all the way up to, I believe, blue. Okay. No, I did not know up to blue. I think I knew up to green. So I had to go blue, red, brown, black. Black, I came in person. But I'm a perfectionist, so I would like videotape it 1,000,000 times before I send him the final. And then he would like give me 1,000,000 corrections despite my best effort.
Okay.
So
nice.
Yeah.
At any time during that, up until you got to your black belt, did you get involved in competition yourself at that time? Or did that come later?
Well, yes. It's a long story, but I was the highest rank in my school from the point I was green belt 4 because I owned the school. And we would go to tournaments. But this is before music was ever introduced with a form or colored uniforms. So in the Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee system, you start out in a white uniform and then you set a goal to become a black belt. And when you're in black belt club, you wear a red uniform, signifying I've made a commitment to black.
Okay.
So when we would show up at the tournament in red uniforms, it was not taken well. So they would say things under their breath like, here comes the clowns. And like when the music would come on to God Bless America or any of the national anthems, they would just squirm in their seats like, ugh, not again. This is awful. And so I was competing and they didn't really have open divisions at the time. So they had there was of course no musical divisions because there was no music except us. And we were the only school that had agreements. Everyone else was month to month. Okay. So there was a lot of pushback from my school. I'm very undaunted by other people's opinion about something that I'm really passionate about. But everyone would advertise no contracts and come to my school and they'd say, well, you're the only school that has contracts. And I'm like, well, that's not true. And they'd say, yeah. And I'd say, well, how do they have a lease? Didn't they sign a contract? And they'd say, well, yes. And I said, well, did they have electricity? They signed a contract. I said, yeah. And I said, well, that's all I'm asking you to do is just to make a commitment. Not for 3 years, of course not. No, I just want you to make a commitment for 1 belt, 4 months. Because I don't want to teach anybody that's just doing it for the fun of it. I want to teach people that have goals, that want to finish something. I'm trying to teach you to finish something you've started. So after you get to this orange belt level, then you can make a commitment just to finish to the next 2 belts. It's 1 belt that they started at. And I said, and at that point, we would like you to make a goal to become a black belt. But if you're not ready, do another year. So I had pushback because we were doing musical forms, because we had agreements, because we had music. So when I did compete, it was challenging, but we actually ended up doing really well. And when I met my husband, we were getting ready to test I was a brown belt. And that was the first time that I actually won grand champion.
Nice.
And, he really changed my mentality, because I competed against this girl that was fantastic. She had been a brown belt like 7 years. So we all called her Grand Master Brown Belt, but she was intimidating. She even made the judges squirm just when she bowed. She was a tough girl, forms and fighting. And so he said, so you're going to get champion? I go, no. That other girl, she wins every time. And he said, what? No, you're the champion. I go, no, she's the champion every single time. And he said, no, you're the champion. Say it. I'm the champion. I'm like, I'm the champion. And he's, no, really say it. I'm the champion. And I said, well, I'm the champion. He goes, now go in the mirror in the bathroom and say it. I'm the champion. Go in there. So I went in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm the champion. Well, between there and the tournament a couple of years, I was passing by car windows. I am the champion. I'm the champion. Nice. And when she went, okay, we were out dancing the whole night the night before, truth be told. So we didn't sleep, but it was so much fun. So the next day she gets out there to compete. And I'm like, oh, nope, I'm the champion. And then she did this really slow side kick and brought it back in. I'm like, no, I'm the champion. So I get up there and we tie. For the first time, we tie. And then they said, you can do the same form or you'll get a little bonus points if you do a different form. So she chooses to do the same form. And I said, well, I'll just do the belt form before. Well, as soon as I'm like, ah, and I yell, man, that TV screen went blank. I completely forgot it. Sleep deprivation. And I'm looking at all these big champions from Puerto Rico in a big line, like, look, see how good she is. So I just start screaming and doing little pieces of every form I could think of. I'm like, let me do a little bit of this green belt form. And then it's going to come back to me. No, screen's still snowy. So I just went like a psychopath doing a mishmash of God knows what. And I won champion for the first time.
That's cool.
And after that, I beat her every time. And she was actually the nicest human being after the tournament. But during the tournament, she was intimidating.
Did you ever go and compete on the NASCA circuit then?
No, I never did the NASCA circuit.
Okay.
A lot of our students did because that's really a major, even back in the day, that's like a $15,000, $17,000 commitment monthly. It's a lot of money because you're going with somebody else. You're paying all the fees. It's a lot of money. No, not monthly. That would be at the end of the year. You bet you're at like $17,000.
That's still a lot though.
It's a lot of money. And I had a big school and the students were more important than me doing that.
Yeah.
So I didn't, but we got about 11 NASCA world champions that they did do it.
Nice. So you mentioned that you actually opened the school before you got your black belt. So first of all, what made you want to not only open your own school, but what made you want to get into the teaching side of martial arts? What kind of drew you to, because a lot of black belts don't teach. So what made you want to do that?
Teaching has always been my passion. Okay. I love teaching. I don't learn easily. Like I said before, I'm totally dyslexic and coordination is not my forte. However, I can teach anybody where they feel confident. They learn quickly. There can be 30 people in a class and everybody gets noticed in everything they're doing. I have like an eagle eye. So I think teaching has always been my passion, whether I was teaching horseback riding or I love to teach.
Okay. And what about the decision to open a school?
The school was really because it was a vehicle in which to do what I've always wanted to do. I was managing health clubs at the time. Okay. And it's the same thing, people setting goals and being able to accomplish them. But at the time, the health club industries were, I don't know what they're like now, but back then they really had zero interest in people reaching their goals. Mm-hmm. The real interest is get them in, let them sign it, long-term commitment, and pay and not come. That's really the business formula because I was managing clubs. And so I was very disenchanted with that, because if I give someone a goal, I'm going to make sure they reach that. And it's, besides being the correct thing to do, it's also a really good business practice, because if people are getting great results, they're also bringing in all their friends, especially women. Women are a very powerful marketing tool. Like a guy goes to a martial arts class and he's like, oh, this is great. But he doesn't go in the office and tell all his buddies they have to go to class with him.
Oh, I do that.
You know, he did. Well, yeah, because, you know, you also have this theatrical background, right? So
exactly.
You're like, this is happening. But most men would go to the office and not really share it with anybody.
True.
But women will come in and say, hey, Jennifer, this is class in Tae Kwon Do. It's so great. No, I don't like, no, you're going. You're going. And women, look at your school. Most of the referrals come from women. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're chatty.
Nice. That is
and pushy. Cool. Yeah.
So do you think, or do you remember, did you run into any challenges from students that because you weren't a black belt when you opened the school?
I don't think so. I did originally have a black belt, and then 4 months later, dismissed him. It was actually my ex. Okay. And he was, and I'm not saying, because a lot of people say terrible things about their ex, but mine really did some horrible things against humanity. So at 4 months into the school, I had to give him the boot from the school, from my life, from everything. I had 2 kids in diapers. Wow. But I didn't really have a choice. It was like an ethical had to do. And so I just kind of made an announcement to the school that there was a difference in our value system and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't lose any students. That's cool. Which is a miracle. Yeah. It was, I said to my friend, I said, there's somebody coming in for an intro. You need to cancel that before they come, because I don't really know what to do. She said, well, I can't cancel it because they just were walking through the door. And all you do is, and she went through what I learned in the seminars with Grand Master Jhoon Rhee. You teach them Sho, Chiryo, Kunye, how high can you kick? You go over the student creed. You go over the home rules for children and the values. And so I'm like, I can do that. So I sit down, I start doing the intro, and there's like 15 people all sitting around me listening. And I was like, whoa, I can do this. And I would teach class, go in the bathroom, look in the mirror, feel sorry for myself, and go back out. How you guys doing? And I'd teach those 7 classes a day. And I just pushed forward and did what I had to do. And when I went to the accountant at the end of the first month, she said, I got to talk to you. And I said, I know. I've had a rough month. And she goes, but I know, no. I didn't put anything in the columns. I didn't itemize the deposits. And I know it's a mess. I'm really sorry, but it's the best I could do. She said, Mary Beth, no, you did 4 times more than you've ever done in the first 4 months. Wow. Yeah. The first 4 months I was doing like 4,000 a month. And then I did 12,000 that month by myself, where I was teaching. So sometimes you don't know what you can do until you are forced to do it. That is cool. Yeah. And when I met my husband, I had like 300 students. Wow. Yeah. Think back to maybe those first few months of, opening a school and learning how to teach and stuff, all the way to now. What do you think has changed the most about your teaching style over those years? I would say that there's a lot of similar traits that are the same. My style is I'm strict. Like when we do Chiryo, no one's moving. I don't care if you're a fidgety ADHD kid. Because I am a fidgety ADHD kid. I don't care if you're a 45-year-old dad or you're the mayor of Miami. Chiryo is you don't move. Mm-hmm. But I pre-frame and make sure I'm strict, but also at the same time, everybody knows that I really care. And at the end of every class, everyone is much better than when they walked into the class. Whether they have a challenges learning or they're already, a top athlete, they're going to be better. I would say the difference now would be I have more credentials, right? Mm-hmm. When I walk onto the floor now, it's a big deal. But I would say in terms of my style of teaching, I would probably say they're not that different. The difference would be is the command that you have of the class based on your accomplishments and the respect that you gain because of what you've accomplished in your rank. But I would not really, no one's ever asked me this question before, okay. But when I'm looking back, I think, I train and ride horses. You know that, but yeah. We haven't discussed it here. But when you get on a horse, there's something about the energy where you connect with that horse. You have the feel between the hands and the connection to the mouth and the body and the legs. There's this connection and energy of okay, I'm here. And it's the same thing when you walk onto the floor to teach a class. You can't just walk onto the floor and pick up the cards. No, you have to walk onto the floor with purpose, with energy, with excitement. Okay, everyone line up, let's go. And boom, you have to demand, or inspire is a better word, inspire them to do their best. And I try to pre-frame that because I don't like to have a bad result and then have to fix it.
Right.
So I said, in a second, I'm going to say Chideo, I want everyone super fast, super powerful. When we use student creed, it needs to be loud and passionate. Think about what you're saying. So then I do Chideo, everyone's really tight. And then I say student creed, and I don't say it really loud because I've already told them to be loud. So student creed, and they're like, well, true, confidence, true. So it's, if I teach a class, it's like, whoa, she goes on the floor and everyone's super powerful. When she goes on the floor, everyone does their best. No, it's because I make sure they do. I pre-frame them for success, and also the energy level that I want, the speed and what I want, and, move quick and stop. So like you're in a real fight. And I don't really believe that only some people can be great. I think everyone can be great. Everyone can be great. Everyone can have excellence. If I go into a school and I see an adult class and they look like slack or lazy, or their chambers aren't there, or their kicks are terrible, or they're bending over, why? Like, why? Adults know when they look terrible. They can feel it.
Yep.
It's embarrassing. So are they kicking vertical at the speed of light? No. But are they kicking correctly? Yes. And if they're not doing it right, it's because they don't understand the mechanics of what muscle to be asking. You don't lift up your leg in a side kick chamber with your thigh. You lift it up with your gluteus, right?
Yep.
You have to be able to explain things with analogies and be able to break down what muscle groups is doing that, and teach them how to isolate the body, to not bend over to kick, because then your kick isn't going to reach. So everything I think that I'm teaching is an application of how effective it is going to be. And if we're teaching forms and they have no passion and they have no attitude, well, how are they ever going to defend themselves? Because we don't practice self-defense in fighting, because you have to use control. Like if you, at your level, a student held a foam bag and you kicked it with all your power and speed, you break that kid's ribs or that adult's ribs, right?
Yep.
So you kick the pad, but you use some control, don't you?
Yeah.
So, and when we fight, if we don't use control, we'd all walk out with broken ribs and, messed up faces. Yep. So we have to use control in pad drills. We have to use control in fighting, but in forms, oh no, you don't. See, that is where we have to teach them to be a little crazy, to be able to go from 0 to pow. Because that's what happens when you're unexpectedly attacked or challenged.
Yeah.
You have to be able to go from laughing with your friends to be like, oh, no, you did not. You have to be able to handle the adrenaline. So how do you handle the adrenaline when you're doing your form like very cadence, no transitions, no power, no stops? That's not a real fight. It's a choreographed movement. It's a choreographed dance of martial art. And I love dance, but not when you're doing a form, and not when you have to be learning how to bring that fierceness out when you need it.
I like it. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first student you personally brought from white belt to black belt?
Yes. 4.
4 at the same time?
4 little ninjas. Yeah, we call them the 4
Nice.
ninjas kick back.
Nice.
And actually one of them is married to my daughter.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. It was the 2 brothers. We had Joey Torres and Chris Torres. Chris married my son. And then Martin Mendiola, and who was the last guy? Martin Mendiola, and I just lost them. There's 4 little kids. They were so great. And
Okay.
it was a big learning curve, because everything was black belt. It can be a black belt, black belt, black belt.
Yep.
They all got their black belt and then they left.
Oh, really?
I'm like, wait, yeah. It's like, what happened? And then I realized, because we never talked about after black belt.
Yeah.
Everything was become a black belt, be a black belt. So they all left. I was heartbroken. So then the second group that was coming up, we talked about the black belt is the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's the beginning of, and then you don't know how great you are until after your black belt. Isn't it true, like 6 months into someone's black belt, you're like, whoa, where'd they come from?
Yep.
Or even just putting on that new black belt. In our school, it's a black uniform. Kids that were fighting self-confidence, like all of a sudden they were incredible. So that was such a learning curve to me. They all left. I was heartbroken. I realized that's what we told them to do. Don't quit until you get your black belt. Don't quit until you get your black belt.
Mm-hmm.
We was telling them to quit after black belt. So that was the last time that happened. So now it's like, you're going to become a black belt, and you can someday become an instructor and share your knowledge with other people and become a master. And this is something you can do your whole life. You can't do gymnastics your whole life. Sorry.
Right.
There's certain things you cannot do your whole life, but Taekwondo, yes, you can.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So over your martial arts career, have you ever done much weapons training?
Oh, yeah, we do. I know it's not Taekwondo, but
Mm-hmm.
if you don't do those things, they're going to leave somewhere else to do it.
Yeah.
So we teach bow staff. In fact, a lot of the world champions that we produced, I'm looking at the list of them, they all did weapons.
Okay.
All of them. So bow staff, size, sword. Those are the three we teach nunchucks in class because it's fun.
Yeah.
But that's not really an easy one to compete with. Well, I've had some students compete with it.
Yeah.
And my daughter competed with fan. We've had a few students do fan.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So weapons are fun, and Cali sticks, that's, of course, you don't compete with that, but it's Cali sticks is like martial arts patty cakes.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Nice. So
Yes.
how about you personally? Do you have a favorite weapon that you like training with?
I think bow staff would be the one that I'd like the best. We had a really good friend of ours in a Japanese system, and he was fantastic. He was actually the head of the training and police department in Miami.
Oh, wow.
So we got training from him and did a lot of different seminars. And my husband, who's the 9th degree now,
Mm-hmm.
in Taekwondo after Grand Master Jhoon Rhee passed, then he tested through the Kuki 1.
Oh, okay.
And for his 9th. And he's like an avid learner, trains with anybody that has great knowledge or masters. And we've had many, 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 many big world champions and Olympic athletes come in to train us and the school.
Okay.
Like when Herb Perez first won the Olympics.
Yep.
Yeah, he came and did a seminar in our school.
Herb was one of my first 10 or 15 guests on my show back in like 4.5 years ago.
No.
Yeah, I met him
Wow.
met him at the Diamond Nationals in like 91, I think it was, 90 or 91, and just reached out to him and like, hey, I know you, there's no way you'd remember me, but would you want to do this? And yeah, he did. So that was kind of cool.
Well, he would definitely have remembered me because he came and I picked him up in a 15-passenger van at the airport, and we're driving along and all of a sudden I went, oh my goodness, I'm totally out of gas. Totally out of gas. And so it runs out of gas while we're driving. So I just switch it to neutral and see how far we can roll. And we're rolling. And I know that in about a quarter of a mile, there's a gas station, right? So he's talking and it's rolling and it's kind of going slower and he's talking. And then I said, Mr. Perez, he said, yes, ma'am. I said, you're like an Olympic gold medalist, right? He said, yes. And I said, so like you're really strong, right? And he said, I guess so, yes. And I said, okay, good, because we just ran out of gas and I need you to push this 15-passenger van into that gas station.
That's awesome.
He looks at me like, she's crazy. And then he jumps out and there was these kids on a bus bench that were in high school. And I said, that is an Olympic gold medalist, Herb Perez. I'm like, I don't believe it. And I go, no, really, help him push the van. So I had like him and the 3 boys push it up into the gas station. So he'll never forget me.
That's kind of cool. So have you had Juan Moreno at your school at all?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
He came the second time he came. Juan Moreno's amazing. He came and Superfoot Wallace. We've had him a bunch of times. He's a character.
Isn't Juan in Miami also?
Oh, yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah,
okay.
He's a Miami boy. He's fantastic. What an athlete.
Yeah. He was, I think, episode 133 for me. So a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, too.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. We've had, you name it, the Great Wolf. Was it Jamie Webster?
Oh, Jamie Webster, yep. Yeah, W. Macy Masters, yep.
Yeah, he's a really honorable, nice. He's a cool guy, too. We've so many. We used to bring people in all the time because I think it's really important to expose yourself and your students to great people.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to ask. I was just going to ask, have you any type of cross training? Have you bring in other than Taekwondo people, and you just answer that? So that's kind of cool. Right.
We always do. And we did XMA, a lot. About half of our world champions were XMA doing that. I left one out, my own nephew. Oh, well.
Okay.
That's his family. But I think it's really important to encourage them to reach out and to learn. And really what I always tell black belts, you need to stick to one thing to be great. Mm-hmm. If you keep jumping around, you're going to be good at a lot of things, but a master of nothing. So stay and move up the ranks so that you become a 2nd, a 3rd degree, 4th degree, become a master. And I said, but definitely learning other things well is really important.
Yeah.
And for us, we appreciate other people's talent. We appreciate what they can share with us, with other people, because that's how we get great. If you want to be the best and have your students think you're the best, well, first of all, if you have that attitude, then how are your students going to get better than you?
Yeah.
And if your students don't get better than you, you've failed. That's how I look at it. Because in my time, I mean, I thought I was wicked, fast, strong. I was a great fighter, and I was all of those things. But we weren't doing flips and jumps and weapons and going up on stage with the music and the smoke. And,
Yeah.
it's evolved. And when the XMA and all of that started, you either lose your teenagers or so what we did is we would send like my nephew was a beast, Ramon de la Cruz. We would send him to training. Those kids all learn on videos, like before they had, YouTube.
Yeah.
Now everything's YouTube. Your car breaks down, YouTube it. So
Yep.
That's why everyone's so great, because the knowledge is shared.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for your students to see too, that you don't have your ego so big. I mean, ego is such a waste of attitude, right?
Right.
It's just, all it does is hold you back from happiness and hold you back from growth. And of course, your students are victims of it.
Nice. So is there someone you've wanted to bring into your school with your students that you haven't been able to yet? That's like on your wish list?
No, I always get them.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, I'm like a ferret. When I make a decision to do something, it doesn't have to happen like on my timeline,
Yeah.
but it's gonna happen. Like when I make a goal for something, if there's an obstacle in front of me, I'm gonna go over, under, sideways, through it. But the concept of it can't happen or it's not possible, that's not true. It's never true.
Yeah. That's kind of like me with guests. If I find a guest that I want. I mean,
you'll get them. You'll get them.
I know you mentioned that very first time you met Grand Master Rhee, and that first day of training was all about philosophy and stuff. So is there one philosophy that you've learned that's really personal to you, that's at the top of your list, it's super important?
That I learned from Grand Master Jhoon Rhee?
Or, I mean, just learned throughout your martial arts journey. It doesn't necessarily have to be from Master Rhee, but.
Well, I think obviously for me personally, integrity is above all, because if you give your word on something, you should always follow through on that. And for me, in my family growing up, honesty was more important than anything. This is going to sound terrible, but if you rob a bank, that's bad. But if you lie about robbing that bank, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Integrity is really a big thing. And I think if people see you, no matter where they see you, the grocery store, the school, wherever, out dancing, they shouldn't see a completely different person.
Right.
I think authenticity is important. But in terms of the martial arts, I think the biggest gift the martial arts has given me and everyone that's ever walked through our doors, hopefully, is that everything is possible. It's just a matter of not quitting. Because you know what? Everyone else does.
True.
So you don't have to be the most beautiful, the most handsome. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the most talented. You have to be the one that doesn't give up. Because when I started the school, believe me, I had a lot of pushback. I mean, people advertising things clearly directed toward what I was doing at the school. I had a Grand Master in a different style of Tae Kwon Do. I'm not going to mention his name because he's a big deal historically, but he had a pro shop, and he was about 1.5 miles down the road on the same road as me. I'll give this on Bird Road in Miami, Florida. So I walked in, and I had a belt ceremony coming up in the following week. And the only Korean master I had ever met was Grand Master Jhoon Rhee. And he's pretty progressive in terms of, he is like a flag-waving American, and he is so grateful for this country. Yep. He taught congressmen on Capitol Hill for 20-something years. He's a very evolved Korean man and master. So I just assumed, well, this is how all masters are. So I walked into the pro shop at the bottom, and upstairs was the school. And this Mr. Grandmaster, his wife was there. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you guys wholesale or you only do retail to the public?" And she starts to answer, and he opens the door from the second floor, and he's got all these kids behind him. And he starts screaming at me, and he says, "We are not you guys!" And I rewind my brain, because in English, like in Spanish, they have ustedes. It's just like usted is formal and ustedes is not, or tú is informal. But you don't have that really in Miami. In English, it's not exactly the same. So I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to be disrespectful." And he says, "Who's the master?" And I said, "Grand Master Jhoon Rhee." And he started pounding on his chest like King Kong. And he screams, "I am the only master!" Like King Kong. And now the corner of my eye, I'm looking at his wife, like, oh, poor thing. She's just like, let me hide behind the counter. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, my stomach is like, what? And all these kids are listening, and out pops my mouth. And I said to him, well, sir, in fact, you are the only master, sir. That would mean that you, sir, are my master. And the way that we teach, sir, is through example. And the example you're giving me is not respect. And then I just turned, went out the door. I get and my hands are like shaking on my steering wheel, on my stomach. I'm like, wow, because he screamed like a crazy man.
Wow.
And, that's really how it was back in the 80s. Like there was not a lot of sharing, or it was dog eat dog. And I've never understood that. I didn't come in as a martial artist. I came in with someone that wanted to make a difference in the structure of children, families, community. I was thinking in my brain, if there was a martial arts school like this on every corner, how different would this world be?
Yeah.
How different? And I was so shook by that. And then I got my act together. And then just saying, their school's been closed for many decades. And mine is one of the biggest in the country.
Yeah.
And and I remember talking to Grand Master Jhoon Rhee. I said, I went into blah, blah, blah school. And he goes, oh, what happened? What happened? And I go, it wasn't like you, sir. No. Grand Master Jhoon Rhee is very different, very different. And I was like, he was screaming at me. And I mean, I'm a young girl.
Yeah.
I think I was like, I don't know. How old was I? 24 years old, and I just couldn't believe he was screaming at me, all because I said, do you guys also wholesale? Because my thinking was, why am I going to give money to a place and I'm going to ship it in when I can give a neighbor the business?
Yeah.
That's what my thinking was. And I'm thinking he does martial arts and Taekwondo and I do. So we are one and the same. We both, we're doing martial arts. This is great. And of course, he is a very high ranking Grand Master. He was due all the respect, and her as well. It was shocking.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, and I had when I was locking my door at night, there was a Moose Lodge right next door, which they don't allow women as members, or Latin people, or God forbid, Black people, Catholic people, Jewish people. The list goes on. And I'm locking the door, and this might be something to edit, but don't. This is the older redneck. He spits on the concrete right next to my foot. And he says to me, no woman has a right to have a business that she took from a man. And I locked the door. I walked around the spit, and I walked to my car, and I said to myself, well, first of all, it was never his business. And second of all, I'm going to have your location, my friend. And I did.
Nice.
I did, because every month when I wrote my rent check to my landlord, I said, and if the space next door with the news light comes up, I'd like to take I had 2,500 square feet. I needed more. And so my father said, well, offer him $5,000 moving. So this is like a year later after the spit, maybe 2 years after the spit. And I called him up and I said, how are you, sir? I said, who knows which one it was, because they all look the same. And I said, I noticed that a lot of the Moose Lodges are consolidating into super centers, like these great organizations. And I didn't know if they were consolidating into yours or you were moving to a bigger location. But if that happens, I would offer you $5,000 to help with the cost of moving, and we would take over your lease. He hung up the phone. And then, this is the best part. The next month, my landlord calls me, and he says, the Moose Lodge is going out of business. Are you interested in that lease? So it didn't cost me $5,000.
Nice.
At all. I use that to renovate, and then we have 5,000 square feet. But
that's awesome.
Back in the 80s, it was like a little bit of a wild, wild west. We would have black belts show up on Fridays when we did sparring because they wanted to come in and fight the master.
Oh, jeez.
Really, I'm not kidding. Wow. And I would say, and I was like a blue, red belt, brown belt, or whatever. And I'm like, no, we don't have any of that happening here. It was really funny, but they would come all the time to fight the highest ranking black belt. Is that crazy?
I've seen it before, actually. So yeah.
Isn't that so funny?
Yeah, it is.
I was like, no, that's not what's happening here.
Yeah. I know. It's just
it's so different now, right? It's so different now.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, I still see some of the bad stuff. I mean,
yes.
I tell everyone in so many of my interviews, I've talked to them because they ask about my background, and my original Tae Kwon Do instructor. I actually started in Tung Sudo and Shotokan and Aikido and stuff like that. But my first Tae Kwon Do instructor, I tell everyone, was my John Kreese.
Oh no.
He literally drove me to the point that I hated martial arts. I was going to quit forever. Yeah.
No.
And then someone's like, you need to go check out this other school. And that's when I met my instructor that I've been with since 94. So, yeah.
Wow. I tell people, I said, it's kind of like the Karate Kid. You have, the Mr. Miyagi's, and then you have, it really is true. You see it at the tournament sometimes. They just look like street rats using bad language and bad sportsmanship. And wow. Yeah. But the great people are just so great.
Yeah.
I can look at people's ads, and I'll, like, when my students move to another state or another city, I'll just say, send me all the ads that are within 5 square miles of where you're going to live. And if it's like, train with the best, I'm the champion, the best, the best, the best, the best, the best. I'm like, yeah, no. I want to see the school that's saying, I can make you your best. Self-confidence and discipline and family atmosphere. Because for me, when you see men and women in the same organization, to me, it's generally speaking a healthier balance and background.
Yeah.
It's a safer place for everyone to be, because it's not like, listen, men come to the school, they don't need to be beat up or have a black eye when they go to work. They need to be in a place that they can become better, and they can be safe, and they can become proficient and powerful. But that doesn't happen if they're at a school that the instructor's trying to knock them silly so they never think they're as good as him.
Right.
You can't have that. And women can't be taught like, oh, women's push-ups or give them that little wimpy handshake. No. Who's going to attack a woman? Not another woman. Sorry. They need to be confident. And women and men in our school fight. They fight together. If I fight a kid that is 12 years old, okay, 12 is a bad example because some of those boys are really strong. Yeah. But like, if I fight somebody that's smaller than me and not as skilled as me, of course I'm not as fast.
Yeah.
And sure, my contact is different because I want them to be confident, but I don't want them to be scared.
Yep.
So I think it's important to have an environment that it should be safer to be in a martial arts school than it is on the street.
Agree.
Yeah.
You'd appreciate this. My first ever trip to California in 95, me and my buddy drove out there to go to Ed Parker's, not Ed Parker's anymore because he was passed away, but it was the Internationals in Long Beach. And on the way, we just stopped at all these different martial arts schools and checked it out. And I still remember one of, I want to say it was a Hapkido school in California. And I might have told this before, but the instructor we were watching, first 10 minutes were good. And then they started doing like the different drills and workouts and push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. And we noticed very quickly everything. He's like, all right, everyone down and 50 push-ups. And then he'd pause, and women 25. Everything was half for the women. And we look at each other like, what? Like our female students back home would have been like, yeah, I can do twice as many as the guys. So
yeah, because they don't give up, man. Yeah. They're like hard workers.
It was like, I couldn't believe, and he did it like just not, and the students didn't bother them at all. I'm like, wow, so different.
Yeah, he's just saying you're not as strong. You're not capable.
Exactly.
You're not capable.
Yeah, just wow.
Oh my God.
I know. And then you talk about the ads. This one, I've mentioned this once or twice on the show, I think, but there was an instructor who he finally stopped doing it, probably because I called him out on it a few times, but he had like, I want to say at the time he first started doing this was like a 5th or 6th degree in Tae Kwon Do, like a 4th or 5th degree in Kumdo, and like a 4th degree in Hapkido or something like that. And he would actually on his website, on his ad, would total them together. And he'd be like 15th degree black belt.
Oh no.
I know. And he did it for like 2 years.
Like you're the only one in the whole world.
I know. Exactly. And I'm like, you can't. He's like, no, it's not true. You have 3 separate ones. They don't add together.
It's incredible. Like, in the ads like that, if you go through the history of all the ads we've ever done in the last 38 years, there's not one ad that talks about our accomplishments and our, accolades, and it might say the rank, like Grand Master Diego Perez and his rank and mine, because it's really special when a school has a master. Not every school has master level instructors.
Exactly.
Mine didn't for many years. So it was impressive to me. But if the ad is just talking about the instructors, I mean, that's a disaster. For me, it's a disaster.
I know. I think like my instructors on his wall or on his door, it says, it mentions his rank, but it says, all classes taught by, Kukyoan WTF certified 8th degree black belt or something like that. But it's not bragging. Nowhere does he have, I mean, he used to do well in tournaments, but nowhere on his website or anything can you find anything about how well he did in tournaments. I think he lost once or twice ever in all the tournaments.
Okay. You should tell him to change that sign and have his rank, but not all classes are taught, because That's exhausting.
I mean, I don't know if it does it anymore, but there was literally probably like a 10 to 15 year stretch when he taught every class.
Oh my God.
I mean, he'd have assistants and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And maybe once or twice if he got sick or something like that on a whim, but 99% it was, he taught everything. He was there 6 days a week teaching all the classes. Yeah.
There was a seminar years ago by Master Joyce Santa Maria.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't kept in touch with her, but we sat inside the seminar and she must have repeated this particular mantra about 30 to 50 times.
Oh, wow.
And I think I needed to hear it about 30 to 50 times.
Okay.
But what she said was, okay, you're really good at phone presentations, but you got to let go in order to grow. You have to teach someone else to do it. Are they going to do it just like you? No, but maybe better. You got to let go in order to grow. And I thought, what do you mean better? Darn it. I did have a girl that was better at it than me, that I taught. And then she said, she was just talking about teaching classes, doing this, doing that, planning the curriculum, doing the summer camps. She must have said you have to let go in order to grow almost 50 times. And I really needed to hear it because the ability to delegate is the ability to let other people grow and shine and become the leaders. And, maybe better than us. Like I teach sometimes, like I have this satellite school that I've been teaching at like 33 years. I can't let it go because it's like a private school. And I love the school because it's like a lot of people, movers and shakers, doing great things, big things in the world. And their kids are like, come on, they're going to be the next generations of doing these things. So I like to be a part of it. So I continue to teach that class.
That's cool.
And and I think that it's really important to be able to eventually with a school, you should be at a point of your training, your teaching, your leading. Of course, the highest level students deserve to have the highest level instructors.
Yeah.
But if you're opening the school, you're cleaning and organizing the school, you're teaching all the classes, you're doing the introductories, you're doing the follow-ups and the renewals, and you're locking the door at night. Your school can only grow a certain level, and it's not very high. And why is that important? It's important because you're not influencing the numbers of people that you should be. And I think that the martial arts is very unique. I don't know anything other than the martial arts that can really make such an impact on character, on families, on communities. And I'm saying that because, back when I said if there was a school like ours on every corner, the world would be different. Well, right now, the mayor of Miami, her daughter is a black belt in our school.
Nice.
And the two mayors before that were students of ours. The South Miami vice mayor is a student of ours. And they're making the decisions for the community, And when I was going to name the school originally, because it was a Jhoon Rhee school,
mm-hmm.
but we had to have a corporation name different because it was a DBA. And so I said to my niece, who was like 10, what do you think about the name? I'd already decided the name. Better Children Through Tae Kwon Do. I knew it was great. She says, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? She said, yeah, if the kids are good, but the parents are no good, the family's no good. And if the family's no good, the community's no good. And if the community's no good, the world's no good.
Nice.
I almost crashed into the median going down Bird Road. She now has her own school. She's done like a 20-year project in Haiti, a whole community with water. And she's like a total philanthropist. But
it's awesome.
It's so true, isn't it? Like in the school, you can work with the kids on integrity and this and that and setting goals. But the parents have to be listening. They have to be part of the team. They have to also be saying the same things. Because like when I'm doing an intro and I'm telling them, look, your parents had you when you were a baby and they have to know that now you're different. So you might have to tell your parents, Mom, Dad, don't say anything. I'm going to put the seatbelt on by myself. Don't say anything. I'm going to start my homework by myself. Because you need to have self-discipline. I don't want to hear that they told you to do it and you had a good attitude. No, you have to tell yourself. You have to have self-discipline. So they get notes and stars from doing things by themselves. But sometimes the parents will say, oh, that'll be the day. Yeah, that'll never happen. And I stop and I look. I say, how committed and dedicated are you to your child not changing?
Yep.
And they're like, and I said, this has happened so many times before. Do you see all the stars on this kid's uniforms? They're putting their clothes away by themselves. They're starting their homework by themselves. They're putting their uniforms on by themselves. They're all these people. That's where their stars are from.
That's cool.
And so it is cool. And like parents, You know, you got kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a science project, especially your first kid. It's like, it's a science project, and you do need a community. You do need people that are going to remind your kid, you know, when you call your child to go out and they're like, okay, in a minute. Oh, excuse me, sir. When your mom asks you, it's time to go to the car, what is your answer? Yes, ma'am. And then I give them a high five.
Nice.
Because you need the community, because it's too hard, you know? It's important. So I think what the martial arts does is unique. I mean, is there any other thing that you can do that's more powerful in terms of making like structural changes in children and family members? Because in our school, we have a lot of parents training.
Yeah.
A lot.
Nice.
So what else would do that 3 times a week, 4 times a week?
Yeah.
Getting a black belt together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. We're privileged people.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. I got a few fun questions we use to wrap up the interview.
Fun.
Let's say out of the blue, you decided you were going to fight in like the UFC. You were going to go into the octagon. What's your walk-up song going to be? What music's playing as you're taking that walk into the cage?
Gosh, that's a crazy one. I mean, Eye of the Tiger is too old, right? Can't do Eye of the Tiger.
A lot of people pick that one, actually. That's probably picked 30% of the time, I would guess.
Well, you know, it's funny because like it just hits you, you know, and I've actually gone to Philadelphia and run up those stairs. They're easy, by the way.
Rocky,
they're not deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Philadelphia originally. Yeah, I know.
I pick You're the Best from the Karate Kid when everyone asks me that question. So that's another old one.
Oh no, that one's got to be really good. It would have to I'd probably have to find a movie with a really crazy character, female character. I'm gonna have to come back to you on that one. I have to do some research. It might have to be a rap song. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of good 80s, 90s rap and hip hop. I mean,
well, it's got to be something with a really heavy bass. It's got to be rock and roll. Come on, it's got to be rock and roll.
Yeah. I think my second choice is probably Boom Shake the Room by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince from like 1991. Love that song.
That's a good one. It's got to be something where everyone's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And you come out like a psycho. I'm really good. I can go from normal to psycho like robot. One of my superpowers.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Who are 3, 4, 5 names you'd put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
Well, obviously Grand Master Jhoon Rhee, because he has done, you know, he brought Tae Kwon Do. He's considered the father of Tae Kwon Do. He's done so many things for the country, for USO tours. Yep. He's much more than just martial arts and kicking and punching.
Yeah.
It's shaped so many lives. So definitely Grand Master Jhoon Rhee.
Okay.
For me, it always has to be people that are going to make a big change in the world. And we can put in your Chuck Norris, because he's a great guy.
Okay.
And a great martial arts, and he's changed so many things. Do you know Grandmaster Greg Silva?
I've never met him. I definitely know who he is, but I've never met him.
Oh, you got to interview him. He'll do it. Just tell him Mary Beth said, and he'll do it.
Okay.
He's a great man. He's shaped a lot of people to run better martial arts schools and change the trajectory of people's lives. He's a great man. And just flat out martial arts, we got to have one that's just amazing, right? Well, I'm a Jet Li fan.
Nice.
I just think, I mean, I don't know about his character integrity, but I might not care. He's just that cool.
Okay.
He's great. I saw him on a talk show one time, and a late night talk show, and they said, can you do some martial arts? And he goes, oh, and then he just stood up. And you know how they do in the Chinese martial arts, where they just like step forward, like as presenting themselves to before form. That's all he did. And I think I couldn't breathe. And that was so many years ago, and it's all I can think of. I mean, do you know, I might get very unpopular for saying this, but sorry. The Bruce Lee, they actually sped up some of the films for him to be faster, but on Jet Li, they actually slowed it down so it could be seen. Yeah, he's cool. He's really cool.
Yeah.
And you know, Bruce Lee was actually a really good friend of Grand Master Jhoon Rhee.
Yep. Like
they trained in the basement together, and actually a lot of the system, like our guard that's against our chest, they would share techniques. And Bruce Lee said, why do you have your hands out here? How's that your center of balance? Now, how do you get power? You got to come back to your body, because more, it's physics, right? The faster you're moving into this distance, you create power. And he said, so you'd have to come back to have full power in that punch. Otherwise, you're punching with your hands halfway out. You don't have speed. You don't get enough back and behind your body.
Yeah.
And so our hands are like a boxer against our body. And the kicking, Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee shared the cooking with Bruce Lee.
Yep.
And Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee actually trained Muhammad Ali for one of his fights.
Yep.
And he said the secret acupunch. But what it is it actually was from his friend Bruce Lee. There's there's no yellow light. You go from red to green.
Yep.
So you don't like move your elbow, move your eyebrows. You just explode the minute you think it's already been executed. So it's like a non-telegraphic technique. Yeah, I like my Mount Rushmores. I'll stick with them. Final answer.
That's a good
final
one.
answer.
All right.
Yeah.
How about a favorite martial arts book?
Oh, favorite martial arts books. Well, I have so many. I have to admit. Well,
I got a ton too.
You have a ton too?
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I like a lot is I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes. I like all the forms books. Like you go back and you see all the Humes in the forms.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Master Jhoon Rhee has, I don't know if you've seen it, but Grand Master Jhoon Rhee has a utopia book about the perfect world.
Mm-hmm.
I have it. Oh, do you? I have 2 pallets of it.
Wow.
Because after you passed, there was like somewhere up in the North Florida, there was like 2 pallets of the books, one in Korean and one in, so we got them.
Nice.
Because it just seemed like we had to.
It's a good book.
Yeah. I love all the books. I mean, there's so many the way, and there's so many great, our shelves are littered with them.
That's cool.
And history.
All right. This one you may not have an answer for. Do you have a favorite martial arts video game? Did you ever get into gaming?
Well, I am the most proficient at Ms. Pac-Man. I'm going to leave that as my final answer.
Nice.
No, you know what? I see video games and I'm like, no. First of all, I'm super hyper, so I cannot sit still that long.
Yeah.
And second of all, it is moving too fast. I need to slow that down. I'm not saying it's a boy thing, but I know so many girls that my husband, well, one of our students is Juliana. She is a character in one of those video games.
Nice. That's cool.
She's like the body, the movements behind it all.
Yep. All right. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Only the Strong.
That's a movie.
Well, it's not really a TV show. That's a movie. Yep. TV show. Well, I did like the Three Ninjas Kickback because I don't know why I liked it.
Yeah.
How about Kung Fu Panda?
Isn't that a movie? Is that a movie or is that a show?
Well, they had like a series. Give me an example.
Okay.
Give me an example of a show.
I mean, like people pick Walker, Texas Ranger. People have picked Highlander, Cobra Kai, Into the Badlands, Warrior, Sidekicks back in the 80s.
Oh, what was the one that David Carradine was in?
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu?
Yep. And
now that's really dating me like I'm 62, but I'm totally 62. I did love that for some reason.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Okay. That one's picked
I met him in real life. I met him a couple times at seminars.
That's cool. All right. And I think you just gave it the answer already, but favorite martial arts movie, you're going to stick with Only the Strong?
Well, my husband was in Only the Strong, and a couple of our students were in it too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right. It was filmed in Miami, I suppose. Yeah.
And DeCoscos is a really good guy. The guy that was the star of it.
Yep. He was my 200th interview.
Mark DeCosco, he's a really cool, humble guy.
Very nice.
Very nice guy. Very nice.
Okay.
And he's great too.
Yes.
My husband fought him. If you look at the basketball scene where they start and you see that one guy that jumps up and does 3 kicks, that was, you see him all over the film, but he looks like a hoodlum.
I'll have to go back and rewatch it now. I love that. Yeah, I watch it at least once a year. It's one of my favorite movies. So.
Oh yeah. No, he's great. We went out dancing with those guys like on the set. They were really fun people.
That's cool.
They're really fun people. Paco Prieto, the bad guy. He's the sweetest thing in the whole world, that guy.
Trying to get him in the show, too. So far, no response.
Oh, Paco?
I'm going to keep trying.
Oh, no, he'll do it. He's just busy doing stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of these guys are busy. So, all right. Final question. This one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've ever seen, favorite movie fight scene?
Well, I do like the Kill Bills where she's beating the crap out of everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, I like Kill Bill scene. She's great. And I do like anything... I like when they use their environment like Jackie Chan does.
Yep.
I think he's so clever.
Yeah.
But I'm always just thinking he's killing himself. He's like, that poor man, I don't know how I can walk. It's like, I like watching the outtakes where he gets hit in the head with things. And it's terrible, but I do.
Break something and fracture something. Yeah. Yeah. He definitely gives his body for the art. So
he does. Yes. Exactly. Cool. He does. Yes.
Well, Mary Beth, first of all, this has been awesome. I'm so glad Francis connected us together. But before I let you go, is there any just last minute parting words you want to give to the listeners? And like I said, your episode will come out on September 18th. And when it comes out, I'll promote the heck out of it. But any last minute things you want to get out there before we wrap it up?
I think that I would like the martial artists that are out there, either whether they're students or instructors, because students become instructors. It's just to remember that we have a big impact. Like people come into our schools and they may have no confidence, or maybe they're being bullied, or maybe they don't believe in themselves, or maybe they are going through horrific things at home. Trust me, they're in your schools. And what we do and we say can make the difference of an absolute entire life, being on this planet or not being on this planet.
Yeah.
They're in every school. I mean, why do people come to the martial arts? because they have the need either to defend themselves or maybe they're, like to be bullies. But I think there's a reason that people come. And I think that we need to take that strength into consideration. And like when you're looking for instructors, don't look for the top 10 percentile of athletes. Look for the people that care about other people, that are dedicated to other people, that want other people to move up. And those are going to be the great ones, because you can teach physical things. You can teach martial arts. You can teach good technique. You can teach speed. You can teach attitude, but you can't put that empathy and the concern and wanting other people to grow. That's a hard one.
Right.
And my kids have grown up in the school, and as of last year, Valentine's Day, my daughter, Master Karen, she's a beast. She's running the school, and that's tough shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Between myself and my husband, because we've got a name in the martial arts, and we're charismatic instructors and good technique. And she is just killing it, man. She's doing great.
That's
and
awesome.
Then my youngest, he's a master, and he comes in and he teaches with her as well. My other son's in marketing, but he comes in and supports and believes in it. And my granddaughter, Elizabeth, is an instructor and now going into firefighting school.
Very cool.
My little one, my little Kayla is she's just on her way to run everything.
That's
awesome.
The world.
That
is so
But
cool.
I think I love schools that have families involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important, because
oh yeah,
if you're not involved in the school, you may never see your spouse.
That is true.
So it's if they're, and just because they didn't do martial arts before doesn't mean they can't learn.
Yeah.
So I think that's my parting words, is that we have such an opportunity to make a massive difference. And our students, like I mentioned, we've got 4 mayors, and we've got people that are literally grown up, became a doctor and saved their own father's lives. We have people that are fantastic parents, and their kids are coming to our school now. Our kids are coming with their own kids. But we can make a big difference. And I meet people, even when we travel in other countries, we run into black belts or students all the time, everywhere we go. And they all say that being in the martial arts and being at Better Families changed their life forever and saved their life, or sent them in a different path, or made them believe in themselves, or made them go for things that they didn't think they could do. So I just think that if people are out there just teaching, kicking, and punching, or winning that tournament, or being the best, or you don't have great martial arts, they're not coming to your school. You've got to have great martial arts, right?
Exactly.
You have to have a great product. But behind that, your biggest thing is you should be building better people.
Definitely.
If you're not, your school's probably not that big, first of all, because when things go wrong, they're going to cut out kicking and punching, but they're not going to cut out things that structurally change their family.
Right. I like it. Great way to end it. Well, seriously, this has been such a blast. I've loved hearing your story, and I can't wait to get the episode ready for the listeners.
Cool. All right. Well, it's been great talking to you too.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.